Part 3. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 21. The car drove into London, and Wayne randomly chose an alley to abandon it and gave the supplies in the car to the destined person. The four took a taxi back to the detective agency. Veronica and the other two were anxious to return to the college. They still had graduation papers and reports on the elimination of death bases to complete. Before leaving, the three expressed their gratitude to Wayne. No matter what, Wayne saved them. After these days, they will bring gifts to the detective agency. Chris told Wayne not to go out if he had nothing to do. Although the death aura on him dissipated due to the Gate of Truth, it was a blessing in disguise, but there were still other Death Walkers in London, and he might be targeted again one day. Chris valued Wayne very much and wanted to take him to the college to handle the admission ceremony now, but Evanston was a women's college and it was impossible to recruit male students. Chris remembered that there was a night school specializing in training magicians. She still needed to consult about the specific situation. Moreover, the night school was a crash course with limited teaching content. She would have to tutor Wayne in person for some time in the future. After Wayne completes his initial studies and accumulates a certain amount of knowledge, a qualified mentor will be recommended to him. In this way, Wayne will bathe in the glory of the goddess and will definitely take the initiative to embrace the moonlight. This is a sure thing. Wayne waved goodbye to the three people and followed Chris's advice not to go out unless necessary. He stopped a taxi at the door and went to the apartment where the failed art student lived. Don't go out unless necessary, he has something to do. It's time to meet the spirit of vengeance. Wayne signed a contract with the wrathful dog and got the first summoned beast. Before, his magic power was 0 and he couldn't feed the other party to make it move freely. Now it's different. Wayne is like a young man who has just gained superpowers. He feels very good about himself and can't wait to wake up his servants. In addition to the expectation of the first summoned beast, he has another reason to go. The spirit of vengeance has awakened. If he can't get the magic power of the master for a long time, he will fall into madness due to hunger and there is a great possibility that he will devour the master. As the sky got darker, Wayne didn't want to delay and planned to make a quick decision and take the dog home before nightfall. Of course, he was not without any precautions. Just in case, he put the Bible that restrained evil spirits in his arms. And white gloves. He was confident that even if he was unlucky enough to be targeted by a ghost, he could turn the tables and chase the other party around. It was really uncertain who would scare whom. Today is different from the past. The young man is not poor, well, not so poor anymore, at least he is not afraid of ghosts. The taxi stopped by the roadside, and Wayne followed the guidance of the Book of Greed to find the burial place of the spirit of revenge. The Book of Greed can only capture the wailing of the vengeful spirits, but cannot respond to the wishes of the living. This made Wayne very angry. It would be better to be a living person. Signing a master-servant contract with the magic girl, it would be a step-by-step, and the path of the mage would definitely be smoother. With the Book of Greed leading the way, Wayne arrived at his destination as if he had a red name. It was a wasteland backed by a pet shelter, and there was a veterinary clinic nearby. From time to time, he could hear the barking of large dogs. As night approached, the barking sounded like a wolf howling, and with the gradually spreading fog, the atmosphere immediately became gloomy and weird. It was really weird. Wayne saw a lot of green light spots coming out of the ground, gathering together like phosphorescent fire, jumping with a faint chill. Damn taxi driver, he must have taken a detour. Wayne complained that he was late. After a few steps, he stopped in front of a soft mud. He closed his eyes and sensed, calling his followers and servants, and transmitted magic to them through the Book of Greed. The soft and wet soil slowly bulged, and a rotten claw crawled out. The disgusting stench hit Wayne, who couldn't help but cover his nose. Having a dog's nose is not necessarily a good thing. It breaks many fantasies, such as the fart of a beautiful girl is fragrant. The large dog with the rotten body crawled out of the cemetery, one eyeball was gray, and the other side had a dark green flame in the dark eye socket. With the magic power of the master, the rotten flesh on its body fell off quickly, leaving only a skeleton. The hazy mist accumulated and wrapped around the skeleton of the undead dog like an arm, reorganizing the translucent body, which looked both evil and hideous, and somewhat heroic and handsome. This is a Doberman, with a compact and well-proportioned body, with a shoulder height of nearly 70 centimeters, and no ears or tail cut, so the drooping ears did not stand up. The rotten smell in the air dissipated a lot, and the two looked at each other. The Doberman showed his gums and growled, and Wayne saw the deep resentment in his eyes. Pictures flashed by, explaining the past of the spirit of revenge. This Doberman was raised as a pet by a little boy. The boy grew up to be a young man and enrolled in the army. The boy's family had no time to take care of the Doberman, so they fostered it in a pet shelter. The staff of the shelter did not care about the dogs. They deducted fees to make money, used the cheapest and inferior dog food, and sometimes starved them for a few meals. They put the dogs in cages and washed them with water when they were bathed. The Doberman suffered from bacterial infection because his ears were not cut. Later, the Doberman became pregnant and gave birth to 7 puppies. The staff of the shelter came to their senses, registered the 7 puppies, and applied for a wave of dog food funds. The money was not spent on the Doberman, but all went into the pockets of the staff. The 7 puppies were thrown to death by the staff in front of the Doberman. The fog was very thick that night, and the Doberman went crazy. He was starved to death because of attacking the staff, and he was buried in a pit dug in the wasteland. In this wasteland, there are still many pets that died due to abuse. Whenever night falls, the remaining cold light floats up. Damn it! Wayne had a headache. He sensed the Doberman's desire for revenge and understood the meaning of the name of the spirit of vengeance. The spirit of vengeance was not named randomly. If Wayne wanted to gain the other party's loyalty, he had to let the other party complete the revenge. Only in this way, the spirit of vengeance would bid farewell to the past. This is a headache. As a scumbag who loves cats and dogs, Wayne hates animal abuse, especially the employees of the pet shelter. They deserve to be entangled by the spirit of vengeance for taking the salary but not doing their job. However, Wayne believes that human life is more important than dog life, so he lets the Doberman complete the revenge. Woo woo woo. The spirit of vengeance immediately became restless after noticing Wayne's hesitation, and the low roar in his throat became stronger and stronger. Don't make a fuss, I didn't say no. Wayne hesitated for a moment and took out a coin from his pocket. How about this? Let's flip a coin to decide. Heads, you go and complete your revenge. Tails, I'll help you get justice through legal means. How about it? The spirit of vengeance was not satisfied with this arrangement, staring at Wayne's neck, as if thinking about the feasibility of devouring the master in exchange for freedom of movement. Wayne touched his neck and said with a toothache, "Good dog, I'm a detective, I'm best at collecting evidence. With my help, those guys who don't do anything will definitely be swept out of the shelter. Then I'll spend money to buy some traffic, hype it up in the newspaper, and denounce these inhumane scums. The angry people will not let them go." The spirit of vengeance didn't understand, and was eager to try to devour the master. Wayne was helpless, only feeling that the spirit of vengeance was difficult to communicate with, and he calmed the other party down by holding the Bible. The man and the dog confronted each other on the spot. After a long while, the night fell completely, and the surrounding fog was filled to an exaggerated level. The body of the spirit of vengeance was originally condensed from the mist, and it merged with the mist. The 2 balls of cold flames that kept jumping doubled the pressure on Wayne. Maybe, perhaps, 80% of the time, he couldn't beat this dog. Let me take a step back. I will love you well in the future, use the best dog food and the best doghouse to entertain you. Give me some face. After all, I am your master, Wayne said with a serious face. This time, the spirit of vengeance did not resist again. It was probably because Wayne's description awakened its good memories in the past. It silently agreed to toss a coin to make a choice. People do it, God sees it, let God decide their fate. Wayne shrugged, raised his hand and flicked the coin into the air. The sight of the man and the dog followed the coin down until the coin was stuck vertically in the mud. X2. Wayne was confused, and the dog was confused too. It was neither the front nor the back. How to choose? Wayne came back to his senses and said in a deep voice, "It's half and half if you bite them half to death. After that, I will investigate and collect evidence and criticize their evil deeds in the newspaper." The spirit of vengeance didn't say anything, struggling whether to throw it again. "Don't worry, I'm very good to my dog. I guarantee that this group of people will lose their jobs and wander the streets. When they find a job, I will buy traffic and denounce the black-hearted boss who provides them with jobs." Wayne became more and more excited as he spoke. This was the first time he knew that he was so bad. Wandering the streets must sleep on the streets. You often stay up late at night, and you get lost and meet them again, and then bite and chase them all the time, so that they continue to fall into the nightmare of revenge by the vengeful dog. The eyes of the spirit of vengeance lit up, and he nodded repeatedly to indicate that this was a good idea. It would be too easy to kill those people all at once. "Master, you are so bad." "I'm only bad occasionally, as long as you like it." Wayne replied subconsciously, and was stunned for a moment after speaking, realizing that he could hear the voice in the other person's heart. "Go, it's too late, I'm still waiting to go home." Roar, roar, roar. The fog surged up, and the violent resentment instantly raised a 10-meter-high fog wall, carrying green ghost fires, and rushed towards the pet shelter like a tsunami. That night, screams and barking, the whole shelter was covered with fear. The next day, the newspaper published the news that the shelter staff were attacked by mad dogs. The employees had horrible bite marks on their bodies and were infected with viruses and had a high fever. At the end of the report, the reporter expressed regret, saying that a group of kind-hearted people who love animals should not end up like this. The public also expressed sympathy, and some went to the hospital to visit them. After the incident fermented for 2 days, the newspaper once again published shocking texts, cold photos with curse-like texts, and set off a large number of condemnations. The corpses buried in the wasteland were dug out, and a bunch of photos came into the public eye, and the heat continued. At night, detective agency. Wayne put down the newspaper and black tea, looked around. "Hey, where is Aubin? Did he run out to play with others again? It's late at night, so energetic." Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 22. Early morning. The sun at dawn shines on the earth, injecting vitality and making the whole city of London lively. A few minutes before the sun rises, the fog that has settled overnight slowly dissipates. The two seem to have reached an agreement and never meet each other tacitly. Wayne sat at his desk and wrote furiously. In order to make the dog happy these 2 days, he has been investigating pet shelters and following up on incident reports. He doesn't even have time to write a diary, which makes him very busy. Because it is a Doberman, Wayne named it Aubin. At first, he was going to call it Adu, but later he thought it was not appropriate, mainly because the dog was not good, too tall, and couldn't get under the car. The pet shelter incident has basically come to an end. Several employees attacked by Aubin were hospitalized with high fever. On the first day, the public expressed sympathy for them, but on the second day, it was reversed and they were attacked by vicious dogs. It was their own fault. The citizens were disgusted, especially the owners who fostered their pets in the shelter. They were indignant and wanted to go to the hospital to output physics. The director saw that this was too much, regardless of the consequences, he reduced the fever of several employees and sent them out of the hospital as quickly as possible. It was impossible to be hospitalized. Don't ask, the only question is that there are not enough beds. The hospital's operation was not reasonable at all, and even illegal, but at the time when public resentment was boiling, no one dared to stand up and find fault. The traffic was too large, and you had to consider whether you would be overwhelmed before speaking. On the contrary, traffic also means event, and it is a great opportunity to promote and establish a persona. Many members of parliament joined the condemnation team and denounced the irregular management order of the pet shelter, earning a lot of reputation. At this time, London had refreshed the animal protection version, and there was still money to be made from this wave of traffic. In the future, Wayne would not have to spend money, and some of the sponsors would pay for it themselves. Several employees were driven out of the hospital, and that night, Aubin did not return home. It liked the game of chasing you and escaping, and recognized Wayne's ability, willing to be a running dog under the crotch, and dedicate its future to its master. After subduing the first spirit of vengeance, Wayne was not in a hurry to sign the second one. He did not have enough magic power, and raising one lackey was already stretched to the limit. Raising two would be very likely to be backfired. Speaking of which, Aubin is actually very easy to raise, and does not consume much magic power every day. Especially at night, it can merge with the fog, greatly reducing Wayne's magic power expenditure. In other words, the dog is very sensible, knowing that the family is not rich, he will hunt for food outside. Dogs do not mind poor families, that is, dogs, and cats. Well, that can't be said, cats don't care whether you are rich or poor, because whether you are rich or poor, cats look down on you. Back to the point, Wayne was busy running around during the day, and he was not idle at night, and gradually figured out the correct way to open the spirit of vengeance. Aubin became energetic at night, and the area covered by the fog could be unobstructed. In the fog, Aubin's various qualities are greatly enhanced, and his speed, strength, and endurance are amazing. With the help of the fog, he can not only achieve invisibility and sneaking, but also use the fog to perform magic-like superpowers. The fog makes him successful, and the fog also makes him fail. Once he leaves the area covered by the fog, that is, the city of London, Wayne must use his magic power to sustain Aubin, which is a very scary number, and it is impossible to squeeze Wayne dry. During the day, Aubin is listless, and his various qualities are greatly weakened. He is as if he is dying. If the sun shines, the fog covering the bones will dissipate, leaving only a bare skeleton. Similarly, Wayne can also use magic to add a night buff to Aubin. Similarly, the magic consumption is terrible, and he can't afford to keep a dog during the day. So Wayne only lets Aubin move at night. During the day, without the master's order, Aubin will dig a hole in the backyard of the detective agency and bury himself. In short, after the transformation of the Book of Greed, the vengeful spirit was transformed into a spirit of revenge and became a magical life form, which is Wayne's most powerful helper at present. After making time, Wayne started to investigate the files of the town of Cafano, deleted a lot of space, erased the traces of extraordinary, and made the files look nothing special. After that, Wayne opened the diary and recorded the client's praise for him truthfully, and used a small part of space to praise his excellent character and excellent professional qualities. Inspiration burst out, and his talent flowed like a spring. He wrote more and more, and wrote almost 5,000 words. After finishing, he felt that he had not finished. It doesn't matter if there are no readers for the time being. As long as he keeps updating and puts the diary in a conspicuous place, sooner or later, a beautiful girl will discover his goodness. That's it. Too much is as bad as too little. Too much is not good. Readers will get tired of it. After finishing these, Wayne opened the door of the detective agency and waited for business to come. No money. In order to please the dog, he spent all his savings, including the money he earned from the eldest lady's pocket, and once again faced the dilemma of having no money to pay the rent. Wayne didn't think there was anything wrong. Money is something that should not be saved when it should be spent. He just felt wronged. Why didn't the eldest lady come to help the poor? The family was so poor that only potatoes were left. Wayne waited for business to come, took out today's newspaper and read it. While catching up on the follow-up matters of the pet shelter, he browsed the latest anecdotes. As a detective, Wayne subscribed to a large number of newspapers and magazines, and also developed the habit of listening to the radio. Recently, he changed his job to a magician, and he started to pay attention to the gossip section again. From the perspective of a magician, he looked for clues and truths hidden in the gossip magazine. These are all intelligence. Continuous missing persons cases, suspected of human trafficking, most of the victims are young women between the ages of 16 and 24. Another mechanic was stabbed to death last night. This is the third vicious attack on a mechanic this month. After many years, the shadow of the Ripper has once again enveloped London. The police call for reducing night travel in the near future. Wayne looked down the pages one by one and frowned. God bless, no, Goddess, please bless these bastards when they encounter Veronica while walking at night. Having said that, the missing persons case and the attack on the mechanic were both at night, so the prisoner must not be an ordinary person. Wayne narrowed his eyes slightly. It was necessary for Aubin to be active. Don't chase those employees all night long. They are a bunch of scum. Just take the time to have fun. If you are deeply in love, you will kill yourself. Wayne, here I come. Willie's energetic voice came from the door of the detective agency. Wayne looked up and saw that she was indeed very lively. Wayne was disappointed not to see Veronica, and wrote the word directly on his face. Willie shook her fist angrily, copied the newspaper in Wayne's hand and started reading. I bet that the prisoners are not ordinary people, they are all villains from the Free Mage Alliance, especially the black magicians who will attack women from time to collect evil spirits. Bloody spell-casting props. Wayne nodded, he thought so too. Stop reading this. Do you know the recent front page news? The largest pet shelter in the East District has closed. It is very close to the warehouse district. We passed by there before. Willie quickly flipped through the newspaper. I heard something. A bunch of bastards, if they fall into my hands, I will definitely break their legs, Willie said through gritted teeth. No need to. Wayne shook his head. He advised the girl to be kind. If her leg was broken and she couldn't escape, Aubin would not be happy anymore. If you don't talk about these bad things, what are you doing here today? Come and give you a gift. Willie put down the newspaper, put her hands on her hips and raised her chin, as if she was coming to praise me. Where is the gift? Wayne looked down and saw that he had quite a lot of money. Although not as good as Chris by visual inspection, he was definitely better than Veronica. There is a saying, although this generous gift is somewhat different from what he expected, but it's not impossible. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 23. Hey, 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 where are you looking at? Noticing that Wayne's gaze was different, Willie raised her fist and shook it, and punched the pervert in the stomach. Wayne snorted softly. He was so weak that he didn't even have the strength to hit anyone, and he still said he was a magician. If you can continue, he promises not to fight back. Willie said, Senior Chris is very busy recently. Her tutor temporarily assigned her a new task. Veronica is busy with her thesis and report, so she entrusted me to deliver the gift. Don't you have to rush for thesis and report? Wayne was surprised. He remembered that Willie and Veronica were roommates, and both of them were about to graduate. Could it be that this guy is a top student? That's right, she pretended to be gay vividly, and it was obvious that she had a strong learning ability. No, the report can be copied from Veronica, and the thesis will be co-signed with her. I will just sign it when the time comes. Willie was proud and had no guilt. Wayne. As expected of you, you fit my stereotype of big-breasted girls. Willie and Veronica's graduation thesis is not an ordinary college thesis, but a theoretical assessment of magic for students in the inner courtyard. It allows multiple people to co-sign, and the practical assessment is even simpler, destroying a pagan den and submitting a task process report. As Veronica's roommate and best friend, Willie entrusted the important task to Veronica under the guise of trust. As for the college graduation thesis of Evanston Women's College, how can a magician be tied down by the secular world? She shamelessly let Veronica activate her money ability, and the thesis has been completed. Seeing the girl's unconcealed boasting, Wayne couldn't help but cast an envious, no, contemptuous look. That's great, he also wants a money-level hero to save himself, and he also wants to hold Veronica's thigh. So, where is the gift? At my house, come with me, I guarantee you will be satisfied. Your statement is easy to make people think wrongly. The gifts prepared by Willie are at home. As for the preparation, Wayne has to choose the gifts himself. Messenger birds. As a magician, messenger birds for communication are indispensable. They are not only the magician's trusted partners, but also can be used to perform certain specific magic. The inheritance of messenger birds has a long history. Even after the invention of the telephone, this inheritance has been preserved. In the taxi, Willie said that the messenger birds were only part of the gifts. It was a gift they gave to Wayne to congratulate him on his magic power and becoming a promising magician apprentice. The gifts were not expensive, but there was no market for them. Many wild magicians could not find a way even if they knelt down, so they had to spend a lot of time to cultivate messenger birds themselves. Wayne could take the ready-made ones and find the messenger birds that suited him. He could take them away after filling out the form. Willie kept talking, often with a messy sentence order, and talked about whatever came to her mind. It took Wayne a while to understand. The messenger birds are bred by the Three Goddesses Alliance and are only given to the believers of the Three Goddesses. Veronica and the other two signed a guarantee for Wayne, allowing him to receive 2 messenger birds in advance. One for daytime and one for nighttime, divided into daytime and nighttime types. It sounds like a sanitary napkin. Wayne babbled softly, and after the taxi stopped, he followed Willie out of the car and came to a busy street. The North District of London City, also known as North London, is not the central district where the rich and powerful gather, but together with the West District, it gathers the middle class of London City, which is several times richer and more prosperous than the East District where Wayne is located. The streets in the North District are very wide, and even the sidewalks are enough for 3 cars to drive side by side, but like all London streets, there is a problem of scarce greenery. As for urban greening, the Green Belt Act was passed in the past 2 years, but the urban pattern has basically been established, and there is no space to plant trees in a short time. The taxi stopped in front of a fitness gym with a simple and rough name, Strength and Faith Fitness Center. Wayne was surprised that there was already a gym in this day and age, and even more surprised by Willie's shocking statement, the gym was her home. Willie pushed the door open and walked in, and Wayne followed her. A wave of heat hit him, and it seemed that his eyes were blurred and he almost shed tears. It was so hot, in the middle of winter. Was there a boiler burning here? Wayne rubbed his eyes, and a spacious gym with various old-fashioned equipment appeared in front of him. The style was old for Wayne, but in this era, the gym was well equipped with all kinds of professional equipment, which was definitely modern. Horizontal bar, dumbbells, barbells, stair machine, rowing machine, boxing machine, bench press, ring. Next door was a women's fitness area, and a little further away, you could see a swimming pool through the glass door. Several gentle-looking fitness enthusiasts were lifting weights in the equipment area, each with a big muscle coach, and they were coaching one-on-one. The coaches all wore white coaching uniforms, sleeveless vests and shorts, and the exposed muscle lines were sharp and angular, making people want to talk to them. Each player is 2 meters tall, and all of them are bald. Even if they have thick hair, it doesn't grow on their heads. In the ring area, 2 coaches who have nothing to do hug each other and wrestle. They only wear shorts, and their muscles rub against each other, and their sweat collides with each other, which makes them feel extremely hot for a while. After a while, the scarred bald guy has the upper hand, and he presses his opponent under him with his superior ground skills, and completely controls the situation with a throat lock. The muscles of his thick arms are as hard as rocks, and they slowly tighten like a giant python. The opponent whose throat is held is flushed, but he still stubbornly supports and refuses to surrender. On all sides, there were 7 or 8 other coaches and fitness enthusiasts watching, cheering and shouting, or swearing and cursing, wondering how I would have cracked this trick if I were there. Their voices were so loud that Wayne could not hear the voices of the 2 players on the ring. However, based on his naked eye observation, he could make up the sound of muscle friction. "I'm back." Willie happily waved her hand towards the ring. "Oh, it's Willie. You're back. Why is it so early today? Don't you have to go to school?" Coaches came from all directions. They were enthusiastic, kind-hearted, and would only smile with their white molars when meeting everyone. Very quickly, almost in an instant, the coaches completed the siege of Willie. To be precise, it completed the siege of Willie and Wayne. The violent heat rushed straight to the door, and the smell rushed to his head. It was very unfriendly to Wayne, who had a dog nose, and, I don't know if it was an illusion, but he felt that these muscle guys had a big opinion on him. Behind the honest smile, they are ferocious faces that look like evil ghosts. Wayne couldn't help but shudder. It was not suitable to stay here for a long time. He got the gift and left quickly. Willie didn't think so. Everyone was still as hospitable as usual. She believed that Wayne would fall in love with her family. Facing the coach's questions, she answered them one by one. She was soon confused by the questions. After a few turns, she was confused. Was shaken out of the encirclement. "Why are you all gone?" "Wayne, come with me." "Hey, where's Wayne?" Wayne was in the coach's lounge next door. He could clearly see that these big-muscled tyrants used hypocritical masks to fool Willie. After shaking Willie away, they exposed their ferocious fangs at him. People squeezed and pushed him, using his chest and biceps to hold him in mid-air and carry him to the next door. "Boy, you and Willie are very familiar. When did we meet? Let's talk to my uncles. What kind of job do young people do? How old are you? Have you graduated? Have you ever had any experience of being beaten and maimed? Don't be afraid, we are not good people. JJJXN." Wayne's face was expressionless, and he finally understood why Willie looked so much like a gay man, and he didn't seem to be acting like a gay man. His emotions were caused by his living environment. As expected, these hot and muscular tyrants are all believers of the sun goddess. It turns out that this is the stronghold of sun goddess believers. No, this honor and temperament are more accurately described as a den. It was a close call. Fortunately, he voted early and fell under the white translucent lace hollow one-piece pajama dress of the moonlight goddess. "Get out of the way, this is Willie's guest." What a noisy scene. What should I do if the guest is frightened? A pair of big hands pushed aside the crowd and came to Wayne with a lot of heat. His tall and strong body still stood out among the 2 meters of muscle per person. He could cast a large shadow just by standing. Compared to Wei, who was 1.8 meters tall. Well, he is simply a giant. My name is Gene Dick, the head coach here. Just call me Coach Dick. Young man, are you Wayne? Coach Dick grinned, his teeth white. A scar twisted from his forehead to his chin, like a centipede crawling on his face. When he smiled ferociously, the centipede moved. Scarface is bald in the ring. Speak, what is our boss asking you? Shut up, I told you to be polite to Willie's guests. Dick was furious, turned around and punched him. Regardless of who was talking just now, he found an unlucky guy nearby and let him go. With a bang, a random unlucky guy was embedded in the iron cabinet. Wayne. What is this, a show of force? Haha, do you think he is scared? Mingren didn't tell any secrets. He originally regarded Wilai as a good friend, but because of what his uncles did today, he decided to let Wilai cry until she got angry. Ignore them, it's just a joke. After all, this is the first time Willie has brought a boy back, and he is such a cute boy like you. Dick patted Wayne on the shoulder and showed an amiable smile. Centipede arching randomly. Wayne, Sigma, oh. Oh. I understand this sentence. Mingren doesn't tell secrets. He treats Wilai as a close friend. Uncles can rest assured that he will not move even if Wilai moves on her own in the future. Have you seen Wayne? There was a knock on the coach's lounge door, and Willie stuck her head in. Didn't see it XN. I'm here. Wayne raised his hand, fearing that it would be too late, so the heartless Willie closed the door. He squeezed through the crowd and walked quickly towards the door. As soon as he took 2 steps, a thick arm clamped his neck from behind. Dick lowered his head and exchanged words with Wayne, and said with a smile, Willie, your friend is really interesting, he talks very humorously, and everyone likes him very much. That's great, I thought you were going to bully him. How is that possible? It can't be done. Ha ha ha, we won't bully others. That's right. Amidst the laughter, Dick warned in a voice that only Wayne could hear, boy, pay attention, I have my eyes on you all the time, you know what I'm talking about. Dick, what are you secretly talking about there? Willie frowned and pulled Wayne behind her. The little white rabbit stretched out his hands to protect the big bad wolf. The coach said I'm a very nice person. Since I'm your friend, he's willing to give me a free gym membership. I don't have to pay for gym memberships in the future. Seeing Dick's embarrassment, Wayne stepped in to help. Really? Tell the truth, Willie was a little bit unconvinced. She's not stupid, she's just not that smart. Of course it's true. Dick took over the conversation and nodded repeatedly, casting an admiring look at Wayne and smiling again. Boy, you're very tactful. Wayne also nodded. Laugh now, while you can still laugh, old boy, hurry up and laugh, here's a year in advance. Congratulations, you're going to be an elder. Restarting the myth. Author, Feng Chao Huang. Chapter 24. Vilai's parents were believers of the sun goddess. They disappeared during a mission to eliminate pagans. They left for many years without any news and never appeared again. Vilai was only 5 years old at that time. According to the law, she would be sent to a community welfare home, waiting for a couple to adopt her. The believers were not happy. They were colleagues and friends of Vilai's parents. They watched Vilai grow up and did not believe that the so-called adoptive parents would treat Vilai as their own daughter. And what kind of place is a welfare home? If they encounter a perverted director or disappear for no reason, how can they explain to Vilai's parents? After discussion, a family composed of believers took care of and raised Vilai. She had many family members, uncles, aunts, and aunts. These elders treated her as their own daughter and never spared their love. Vilai's childhood may not be complete, but compared with her peers, she received no less love. Even more. After listening to this past, Wayne was quite emotional for a while. The big-breasted girl was noisy, but her heart was very strong. Willie is optimistic and loves to laugh. Her smile is very contagious, making people want to get close to her, laugh and play with her. However, one thing for another, this is not a reason for the muscle guys to intimidate him. Today's matter is not over yet. He will write a diary when he goes back to accuse the scum of society of persecuting kind young people. Coach Dick gave Wayne a free gym card. There is no such thing as a gym card these days. He took Wayne to get familiar with all the coaches and pointed at him to indicate that this face would be free in the future. Seeing the coach's enthusiastic appearance, Wayne made up his mind not to come in the future. It was the first meeting, and everyone got along well. Willie felt that Wayne was bullied and was not very happy. She put her hands on her hips and pouted to express her dissatisfaction. The coaches scattered like birds and beasts, swarmed towards the ring area, and continued to wrestle in a group. The style of the sun goddess believers was full of gay love, which fully confirmed the saying that moderate fitness attracts the opposite sex, and excessive fitness attracts the same sex. Considering that anabolic steroids were not popular at that time, fitness and bodybuilding were far from being as big as they were later, and the coaches were all big and muscular. Wayne speculated that their body size was directly related to the belief in the sun goddess. Perhaps, this is also magic. Willie took Wayne through the fitness area and came to the backyard of the fitness center. 3 quaint iron gates were embedded on the white wall. The arched moon-shaped iron gate was engraved with a simple pattern of the sun. The sun poured down on the earth, bringing light to dispel darkness, and nurturing life and giving birth to all things. The realm of vigorous vitality and all things competing is still in front of us. At the top of the 3 arched moon gates, from left to right, there are hexagrams, crosses, and triangles. Wayne looked at the equilateral triangle symbol and remembered the golden triangle magic circle that Mike used for sacrifice. It can't be said to be similar, it can only be said to be exactly the same. There is also a portrait of the sun goddess engraved on the iron gate, holding a javelin to guide the believers forward. Wayne took a closer look, and the outline of her facial features was blurred and invisible, and only the enchanting figure and slender arms could be seen. Unreliable, this guy must be a cross-dresser, and the muscles are super developed. Willie stood on the iron gate on the far left, with 5 fingers on it. As a ray of light spread, the arched moon-shaped gate became transparent, revealing the forest scenery with birds singing and flowers blooming inside. The area is very large, and there is no such a large park in London. Wayne guessed that this is a portal, which can only be opened by the believers of the sun goddess. He did not ask where the other 2 doors led to, and followed Willie and stepped onto the forest path surrounded by green shade. The air was filled with the breath of nature, and the sun cast mottled warmth through the shade of the trees. Wayne bathed in it, and felt an indescribable peace all over his body, and his impetuous heart calmed down. Soon, Willie took Wayne to a wooden house, where no one was guarding the house. There was only a form hanging on the wall by the door. After she signed, she asked Wayne to leave his name and began to help Wayne choose a daily-use carrier pigeon. Daily-use carrier pigeons are white pigeons. There is nothing much to say about this. Because they are relatively easy to breed and have a very high loss rate, they are generally not valued by magicians. The key is the night-use carrier pigeon. XN. This one is the most fierce, so it's it? At Willie's suggestion, Wayne chose a relatively strong white pigeon. After signing the contract, the white pigeon got into the gentleman's hat in Willie's hand and disappeared like a magic trick. When you need it, flick the hat and it will appear, but remember to feed it regularly, otherwise it will starve to death in the hat. Willie gave a few instructions and took a bag of feed from the shelf and stuffed it into Wayne's arms. Mixed feed, the main ingredients are wheat, corn, and peas. You can take it yourself when you are done. Just remember to sign. The 3 Goddesses Alliance shared a lot of resources, and the messenger bird was one of them. As long as Wayne got familiar with the face, he could also get the feed consumed by the messenger bird when he went to other large bases. Wayne put on his hat and listened carefully. As a novice, every piece of information was very important. The messenger bird can be used to contact magicians with good relationships, and it can also exchange information with large bases. Now there are telephones, and the use of communication is optional, but the magic performed by the messenger bird is very practical. Come to my room later and I will teach you slowly. Willie started to wink and make eyes after a while, and Wayne said, haha, it's impossible, absolutely impossible. It's not that he can't do it, nor is it that Willie can't do it, but there are more than a dozen big muscle men blocking the middle. He bet that there will definitely be various reasons later that will prevent him from entering Willie's room. I couldn't even touch the door handle. The two came to the back of the cabin, and Willie lifted the curtain that blocked the light, and a pair of round eyes looked at Wayne. Eyes full of wisdom. It was indeed a round-faced fat chicken. Wayne was not surprised at all, and even felt that it was natural. He didn't know much about owls, but he heard that this thing was a bird of prey and was the most trusted partner and backup food for mages. Cuckoo cuckoo cuckoo. Gia. Chi chi chi. Seeing someone coming in, the round-faced fat chickens tilted their heads collectively and made all kinds of strange calls. Stop. Be quiet. Willie shouted loudly, but it was useless. She shouted hers, and the owls shouted theirs, without giving any face. Impolite, far worse than pigeons that can only coo. From this, it can be seen that pigeons still have pigeon ethics. In addition to being used for communication like pigeons, owls can also guard the house and warn intruders. When necessary, they can use the owner's magic to transform, speak human language, track, etc. Willie counted them one by one on her fingers, and finally concluded, although owls are not magical creatures, when a magician meets an owl that matches him, he can make it exert unimaginable abilities. Match. Wayne asked, how to judge whether it is a match, what method to use. Yes, don't hesitate, choose the one you think is the most pleasing to the eye as quickly as possible. Willie said, they are all excellent carrier birds that have been carefully cultivated. Each one has its own personality and temperament. The one you think is the most pleasing to the eye will have a personality and temperament very close to yours. Generally speaking, the closer the degree of similarity, the more compatible it is. It turns out to be based on intuition. Wayne frowned. Willie said it lightly, but these guys look basically the same, how can there be the most compatible? Hey, that one looks so arrogant. Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 25. On a branch-shaped shelf, an owl that was all white with a few black spots had its eyes drooped, opened but not fully opened, and it was looking down at Wayne with its slits. Wayne saw the contempt in the other party's eyes. According to the grapevine, the owl is a symbol of wisdom. Wayne didn't believe it, so he took the white owl in front of him as an example. If the other person was really smart, he would know how to use his appearance to be cute, and his eyes would never be so flat. The hanging look seemed to be provoking. Today, only one of him and Wayne can walk out standing. Hey, you like this one? I remember that it is very old and has been staying here without being selected. Seeing Wayne and the white owl glaring at each other, Willie knew that he had chosen the letter bird that suited her best. She took out the encyclopedia from the shelf nearby, flipped through a few pages and read, Snowy owl, also known as the white owl. The owl is accustomed to appearing during the day, with a body length of 50 to 70 centimeters and a round and small head. Compared with other owls, the faceplate is not obvious. According to records, this snowy owl is male. Under normal circumstances, a male snowy owl can reach about 60 centimeters. This one is slightly smaller. It feels like it didn't have enough food when it was a child. Moreover, its whole body is almost pure white, which means it is an old bird. Get to the point, Wayne interrupted without looking back. Out of some strange desire to win, he was still competing with his opponent, each one looking at each other with a bird's eye, without blinking, competing to see who could do it first. It's too old and rarely active at night. Why don't you change it to another one? After saying that, Wei Li shrugged to herself. Her eyes were like this, whoever she saw at first sight was who she was, and she couldn't change it. Moreover, Wayne and the other person are very compatible, and their eyes are exactly the same. It would be difficult to guarantee such a high degree of matching by changing one person to another. That's it? Wayne stared for a while, his eyes were dry, and he decided to take it home and clean it up. Give it a try, you two should be very close. With Willie's encouragement, Wayne raised his hand and touched the snowy owl. Owls are also cats, and masturbating an owl is the same as masturbating a cat. He believes that his superb skills can make the other person want to stop, and he has become a puppet of desire, crying and begging him to masturbate, and not daring to look at others with his eyes. Not touched. Gadget dodges. Wayne looked confused, and Willie didn't understand very well, so she handed Wayne a rat strip and asked him to try again. To make matters worse, Snowy Owl ignored Rat Stripe and his eyes became more contemptuous, as if he was mocking Wayne for being a retard. How unreasonable. Wayne rolled up his sleeves and was about to give the other person a look. Willie hurriedly grabbed his arm and advised him to calm down and stop being like a letter bird. From now on, we will all be a family. We can talk to each other if we have anything to say, and there is no need for physical communication. The friction was too great. Wayne struggled twice but couldn't get rid of it. He struggled a few more times but still couldn't get rid of it. Simply give Willie some face and let her go for the time being. That's it? I must take it away today. Well, why not try to seduce it with magic power? It stands to reason that the two of you should be very compatible. Wei Li suggested. What is seduction? This is showing off strengths. Wayne tried it. He was very confident in his pure magic power. He raised his hand and waved it in front of the snowy owl. A ray of white light spilled out, attracting the attention of other owls in the cattery and saluting collectively. The snow owl's half-closed eyes slowly opened, its golden eyes were as round as copper bells, and the black pupils suddenly shrank. It can be seen that it is very shocked. This time, faced with Wayne's request to go home with him, Snowy Owl did not refuse and jumped directly onto Wayne's arm. The snowy owl looks very big, but is actually very light, weighing about 2 or 3 pounds. Its weight is entirely represented by its fluffy feathers. All owls are like this. Without their feathers, they are all skinny. It is impossible for a snowy owl to get into a hat. Some magic can allow a large owl to hide in the owner's clothing and accessories. However, these magics are obviously not something that beginners can master. Willie found a birdcage, the kind with a curtain, and reluctantly put the snowy owl in. Put it in. This snow-white owl was unusually quiet, and unlike its other curious companions, it kept its attitude the whole time, which convinced Wayne that it was indeed an old bird. An old bird is an old bird. Wayne doesn't expect the other party to look after the home and care for the home. It doesn't matter if he is not active at night. He also has Aubin, who will take care of everything. It is said that Aubin has been wandering outside for several nights, and it is time to take on the responsibility of looking after the home. After Wayne completed the form, he carried the birdcage and walked out of the crescent-shaped iron door with Willie, who was going to take him to the room to teach elementary magic related to messenger birds. Quiet, no one disturbs. As expected, enthusiastic coaches gathered around him. Their beating muscles made Wayne unable to refuse, and he took the initiative to ask for an office with a glass door. Willie found a magic book, which contained the basic magic used with the messenger bird, and explained it word for word in easy-to-understand words. Outside the glass door, the heads of the muscle guys were shaking. Once they found out that Wayne touched Willie's little hand while he was studying, they would swarm in and show Wayne the power aesthetics they admired. Wayne, haha, I just touched my chest. Wayne once again proved that he is a genius, not only has a strong memory, but also can quickly accept and master new knowledge. Willie asked Wayne not to try the newly learned magic. It is easy for beginners to make mistakes, and making mistakes means the loss of a messenger bird's life. What Wayne needs to do now is to get to know each other better, that is, to feed the bird more so that the other person can eat happily. When Chris finishes the task at hand, she will focus on coaching Wayne one-on-one, and it won't be too late to try magic then. Great, there are also one-on-one coaching lessons with beautiful girls. Someone said that if a man sits with a beautiful woman for an hour, it will seem that only 1 minute has passed, but if he sits on a gay man for a minute, he will feel that more than an hour has passed. Time passed unknowingly, and before night fell, Willie gave Wayne the basic magic textbook and asked him to go back and study it carefully to deepen his memory. Wayne took the textbook and the birdcage and left the fitness center. Behind him, a group of big muscle coaches stood at the door and watched him leave. Coach Dick raised his eyebrows and looked at a black car at the end of the street. In the car, 2 sneaky men in black were smoking. Seeing Wayne leave the fitness center, they threw away their cigarette butts and drove slowly to follow. Is this guy being followed? Dick pondered for a moment and said to his companion beside him, "Follow him, remember to keep a low profile, don't do anything unnecessary, just don't let him get hurt." The coach nodded, picked up a coat and covered himself with it, and followed Wayne's black car. The 2 men in black were not magicians. In Dick's eyes, their life breath was weak and scattered, and they were ordinary people on the street. He guessed that they were gang leaders. Dick didn't take these trivial matters to heart, nor did he care why Wayne provoked the gang. He happily huddled next to Willie, rubbing his hands like an old father who doted on his daughter. "Willie, when did you and Wayne meet?" "I know, but you didn't tell me in detail last time." "No, I don't mean anything else, I just care. He's a genius, so funny. I don't doubt your judgment. I mean, even if he is a genius, his age means he doesn't have much potential to tap." "What, he used magic to take the white owl away?" Dick's eyes widened, his facial muscles twitched in horror, causing the centipede scar to twist continuously. "Nothing, it's an old bird. Wayne is unlucky, yes, terrible." The expression came and went quickly. Dick casually mentioned this topic, and Willie didn't notice anything unusual. When he turned around and walked out of the fitness center, Wayne's figure carrying the birdcage had already disappeared. "It shouldn't be, it's not a carrier bird, there's no reason for it to leave with Wayne." "Is he really a genius?" Wayne didn't take a taxi home directly. He held the birdcage in his left hand and a handbag with teaching materials and feed in his right hand, strolling on the street where the street lights were gradually lit up. First, he wanted to try his luck and see if he could encounter the robbers who kidnapped the girl while walking at night. If he could save the girl and the girl was as wealthy as Veronica, he would not mind accepting her thanks and relieve the urgent need of having a cleaner pocket than his face. Forget about her body, he is a conservative person in love and cannot have 4 relationships at the same time. Second, he wanted to get familiar with the road conditions in the North District, which corners are suitable for surveillance, which sewers can be used for people to get in, and how to get to the nearby subway stations that are convenient for quick transfers. He also wanted to walk the dog. It was dark and foggy, and it was time for Aubin to break out of the ground. 10 minutes later, Wayne found that he was being followed. When he turned at the intersection, he saw a black car with an absurdly slow speed, as if it was waiting for dark. It would be easier to take action after dark. Damn it, now they don't tie up beautiful girls anymore, they only pick on beautiful boys. Wayne muttered, and when he passed the alley, his feet suddenly accelerated and walked straight into the depths of the alley. The black car stopped on the side of the road, and 2 men in black got out of the car in a hurry and rushed into the alley. At the end of the street, the coach who followed him walked quickly to the alley entrance. He didn't go in directly, but closed his eyes and listened for a while. After a while, he shook his head and left. The boss thought too much. This kid is good at fighting, and he is full of bad water. He is not as honest as he looks on the surface. Wait a minute, if this kid is not honest, won't Willie be deceived? The coach spitted fiercely and walked quickly towards the fitness center. He collected important information and must let everyone stay vigilant at all times and never let the bad boy succeed. In the alley, Wayne hid behind the trash can, and waited for two men in black to pass by quickly. Then he flashed out and kicked one of the men in black over with a flying kick. After landing, he turned around and swung a punch, using the acceleration to hit the nose of another man in black hard. The force was so strong that it directly caused a dizzy effect. Before the second man in black could react, he kicked his legs and fell straight to the ground. The first man in black fell to the ground, and the pistol in his arms fell out. He crawled and rolled to pick up the gun. The black man's nervous expression was relieved when he saw the pistol. It was too early to be happy. He was kicked in the buttocks, and he rushed forward for a distance with his hands and feet. When he turned around, the pistol was already in Wayne's hand. The original body's muscles memorized a lot of fighting skills, and it was impossible for him to be an idle third-rate detective. Lie on the ground, put your hands on your head. Wayne shook the muzzle of the gun. The sky was getting dark. His eyes were blocked by the shadow of the black hat. With his cold words, he had the fierce aura of a gangster who killed people without blinking an eye. The man in black was shocked and lay on the ground with his hands on his head. The other man in black had fainted. Wayne took out a pistol from him, frowned and said coldly, "Who are you and why are you following me?" "No, I didn't. I just happened to pass by." The man in black lying on the ground tried to explain. "Haha, so it's a coincidence." "Yes, it's a coincidence." Bang. Wayne walked forward slowly, pressed his knee on the back of the other's neck, and put the gun to the back of the other's head. "Boy, you are only a few $100s a month. Why are you playing with your life? I'll give you another chance, otherwise I will shoot you, and your companions will tell me the answer." I. Lies will not break people's defenses, but the truth will." Wayne's words hit the sad spot, and the man in black's tone immediately became sad and angry. It was too heavy and he felt unable to breathe. "Still not telling me?" Wayne pointed the gun at the muzzle. "Forget it, I won't force you. I'll ask your companion. With your bloody example in front of him, he will definitely cooperate obediently, and I will let him live." "No, no, no, don't shoot, I'll tell you now." The man in black confessed, "We are the Black Snake Society in the East District. We followed you to the North District. A big shot has set his eyes on you. Our boss wants to please that big shot and is going to tie you up and send him over." Wayne. "Big shot, who is that? Has he ever offended any big shot?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 26. Who is the big shot? I have no idea. Realizing that the hard object on the back of his head was pressing down again, the man in black was so anxious that he almost cried. "I really don't know. The boss didn't say anything. I shouldn't know this. I only earn so much in a month. I don't know qualified to know so much." It was reasonable and well-founded, and Wayne could not refute it. He threatened him a few more times, but when he saw that he couldn't get any information out of him, he knocked the opponent unconscious with a few bangs of his pistol. The first time he knocked someone unconscious, it was inevitable that he couldn't control the strength. He hoped that the person would be okay. Wayne kicked the other man in black awake and asked again according to the previous process, and got basically similar information. There was a big shot who was eyeing him. He had great power in London. He could not say that he could hold the sky with his hands, but he would definitely kneel down and lick him in both black and white. In other words, not only the gangs, but also the police are targeting him. Wayne frowned. The sudden dimensionality reduction blow was too outrageous. According to the confessions of the two men in black, a big shot of this level can't be offended just because he wants to. We are not in the same world, so he has no right to offend the other person, and he can't find a way even if he kneels down. Could it be that in the previous pet shelter, the big shots were shareholders, and when I was hyping up the traffic, I exposed myself to the newspaper, and the other party was planning to retaliate against me? After much thought, Wayne could only conclude that in this materialistic society, kind and righteous young people will always be suppressed by various forces. Of course, there is another possibility that he took the blame for the original person. The original person offended a big shot, such as sleeping with the big shot's wife, or lover, girlfriend, sweetheart, or treasure. The original person shivered and put on his pants and walked away. It was his turn to pay off the debt. Damn it, why are you leaving in such a hurry? It would be good to leave some pictures to remind you. Looking at the two men in black who fainted, Wayne secretly thought that it was troublesome. He had agreed to be obscene and develop, but suddenly he got into such big trouble. The key is that he still doesn't know why he got into big trouble, and he doesn't even know where to start. It is impossible to fight violence with violence. The snowball will only get bigger and bigger, which is not in line with the current strategic goals of the wretched development. The world is in trouble, so we can only find someone to come forward and set up a table first to make amends. It was wrong of me to sleep with your wife, but believe me, she was calling your name the whole time. Wayne nodded, feeling that it made sense. Fighting and killing would be too violent. Since that big shot has the status he has today, he must understand that peace is the most important thing. But first of all, the status of the person who came forward for him cannot be low. Who should I look for? The figure of Veronica appeared in front of Wayne. The eldest lady was a native of London and had a lot of money. I think her father-in-law's social status was not much different. Even if my father-in-law is not as good as this big shot, he definitely knows someone who can be on an equal footing with him. We can do it. Wayne silently gave himself a thumbs up, and a new question came. Why did his father-in-law stand up for him, and why did he owe favors to a wild boar that was offering his own cabbage? Wayne compared his feelings and realized that this road would not work, but apart from his father-in-law, he really couldn't think of any other father-in-law. Dick. Stop making trouble, gays can laugh to death. After pondering for a moment, Wayne put away the two pistols and returned to the Strength and Faith Fitness Center carrying the birdcage and handbag. He couldn't contact Veronica for a while, so he could only convey the news through Willie, hoping that Veronica would go to the detective agency to meet him as soon as possible. If your father-in-law doesn't want to come forward, it doesn't matter. Helping is a matter of friendship and not helping is a duty. If you ask why you offended the big shot, he will be very grateful. Jim. The coaches were very wary of Wayne leaving and coming back. They did not chase him away directly. All the players said nothing, grunted and banged their iron, their eyes fixed on Wayne. Brad, pay attention, I'm watching you. XN. Coach Dick stepped forward and lifted the curtain of the birdcage, stared at the white owl for a long time, and then sneered at Wayne repeatedly. Wayne was feeling unwell. Dick's previous attitude towards him was dispensable. Although there were warnings and threats, he obviously didn't take him seriously. It's different now, it's the kind of vigilance and fear that comes from the heart. Willie appeared in time and took Wayne to the office. After some questioning, he tilted his head and said, "Both the black and white departments are investigating you, wondering what kind of crazy case you have done. Are you the real culprit in the serial disappearances of girls?" "Stop it," I was shaking when I walked at night, How can I do that? Wayne rolled his eyes. Hiss, you don't deny that you have thoughts. Willie's eyes widened and she covered her chest with her hands, so much that her clothes were deformed. Yes, I have an idea. When I have the skills, I will be the first to tie you up and put you in the basement of the detective agency. Wayne snorted angrily and told Willie to stop talking and help contact Veronica. He didn't want to waste too much energy on this matter and was anxiously waiting to learn magic. Willie tilted her head. Actually, Dick, forget it, just find Veronica. His father is very well connected. As long as Veronica is willing to talk, she can help you solve your trouble soon. That would be troublesome. There is some trouble. Veronica has a very bad relationship with her father. Willie called Veronica's phone, but no one answered. These days, there are only landlines and no mobile phones. It was normal for her to be unable to reach her by phone. Instead, she sent a letter by owl, asking Veronica to go to the detective agency to find Wayne as soon as possible. Wayne thanked him again, went out and took a taxi and went straight to the detective agency on Belloc Street in the East End. Another detour. Money is the courage of a hero, and gold is the waste of a man. The damn taxi driver drained Wayne's last courage and kidney, consolidating the important status of potatoes on the table in Wayne's family, which made Wayne very unhappy, but there was no navigation these days, and he knew that the driver was dishonest but he couldn't do anything about it. Taxi driver, this is my conscience price, I didn't take a detour. If you are unhappy, buy a car yourself, the oil price will kill you. Wayne came to the door of the detective agency, and as soon as he touched the door handle, he realized something was wrong. There was someone in the house, and the skill of picking the door and locking it was very good, as if there was a spare key of the detective agency. He sniffed, and a mixture of conditioner, milk, chocolate, and the unique fragrance of a girl penetrated his heart, and Wayne was relieved. It was not an outsider, but Veronica. She did have a spare key. You came really fast. I was really taking a detour. Veronica was sitting at her desk, following her diary. When she heard Wayne's voice, she didn't even raise her head. I heard from Willie that you provoked a powerful person, and the other party has sent someone to investigate you. Not only an investigation, I just met two gang members, the Black Snake Society in the East District. They followed me all the way to the North District. If I hadn't been careful enough, I'm afraid I would have been kidnapped by them. Wayne tried to play the victim to seduce Veronica's sympathy. The effect was average, and Veronica was amused by the diary. The diary is like this. Who writes a diary? Who can write their inner thoughts in a diary? Can what is written be called the inner thoughts? Despicable. Therefore, the diary can only fool strangers. For a beautiful girl like Veronica who knows him inside and out, the diary can only be called a collection of jokes. Helplessly, Wayne took out two pistols, saying that it was really dangerous at the time, and his fists were swollen and still hurt now. So serious. Veronica saw two pistols and was surprised. The gangs in the East District are willing to break into the North District to catch you, and they are carrying guns. This is not their style. Who did you offend? If I knew, I wouldn't ask you for help. Wayne shrugged and expressed his meaning directly. I heard that your father is very powerful and knows many big people, so I want to ask you for help and ask me what I have done wrong. Veronica frowned fiercely, and said after a while, okay, but you owe me a favor. No matter what I say in the future, you must agree to me unconditionally. Wayne nodded, put down the handbag and birdcage, and Veronica went out to find a phone booth and dialed her home phone. The red phone booth flickered dim lights in the fog. Then dialed another one, and then another one. There is no way, her father is like this, one set in front of people, another set behind people, and there are several sets in the suburbs. If you don't call a few times, you can't find him at all. After several times, Veronica contacted her father, Austin Landau. Her voice was very cold, as if she was talking to a stranger. Wayne stood outside the phone booth and found that Veronica's face was quite ugly, and he couldn't help shaking his head. Every family has its own problems. Willie is having a hard time, and Veronica is not easy either. I don't know what Chris's situation is. I'll ask her when I give her one-on-one tutoring in a few days. If she is also a sad person, he doesn't mind lending her his warm and broad shoulders to lean on for a night when the female college student wipes her tears. I know, I'm fine, thank you for your concern. A few minutes later, Veronica hung up the phone and walked out of the phone booth with a stinky face. Wayne followed behind the other party and didn't say anything, although, at this time, the strategy was really too bad. Veronica walked into the office, picked up the diary and flipped through it. After a while, she was amused, and her irritable mood improved. She said to Wayne, "I asked, you did offend a very powerful big shot." "Who is it?" Wayne couldn't wait to say. "Mr. Landau didn't say it. He said you don't need to know the other party's identity, because whether you know it or not, you can't change the big shot's mind. If he said he would investigate you, he would definitely put you in a cement barrel and sink you into the river." Speaking of this, Veronica's face also showed some doubts. As far as she knew, her incompetent father had a very high status in London and kept many parliamentarians as running dogs. Even he was unwilling to reveal the name of the big shot. Did Wayne offend the Queen? Impossible, where does he get such ability? Then Mr. Landau said that he would come forward to settle this matter, but at the same time, you owe him a favor, and he will find you to make up for it when he has the chance in the future. No problem. Wayne nodded readily. It didn't matter if he owed his father-in-law a few more favors. When they became a family, he didn't have to pay it back. It's so cool to get something for free. Mr. Landau is so amazing. Hee, it's just a few stinky money, and he's so black in order to make money. Excuse me, what does Mr. Landau do for a living? I run a bank. Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 27. This is the situation. Mr. Landau will deal with the big shot. As for you. Veronica sneered twice and said sarcastically, "Although I don't know what kind of crazy bad things the boss has done, it's best to leave the city to avoid the limelight, otherwise you will never wake up again after falling asleep, and then no one will collect my salary." Is it so exaggerated? Wayne raised his eyebrows. He was just afraid of trouble. He didn't want to provoke a big shot who was involved in both black and white, and thus fell into a vicious circle of beating the younger and the older. If the other party really bullied him to his doorstep, he was not bragging, just because he was not bragging, Aubin was super brave. If you have the ability, come at night, and bury them all in the backyard of the detective agency. That big shot might give my father face, but it will take time. During this time, you are not safe. Veronica seemed to understand Wayne's thoughts and said bluntly, "Don't think that you look down on ordinary people just because you are a magician. No matter how fast you are not as fast as bullets. If they ambush a sniper, how will you deal with it?" Wayne nodded from the heart. 7 steps away, the gun is fast, and within 7 steps, the gun is accurate and fast. It's a pity that he doesn't know how to use a gun, and he can't practice the gun skills of pointing and shooting in a short time. Otherwise, with 2 magic props in hand, it would be a bit of a support. Besides, you are a magician, but the other side is not. As long as the other side is willing to spend money, there are many black magicians willing to work for the other side, Veronica said solemnly. This makes sense, and Wayne agrees deeply. Take the North District where the gym is located as an example. The concentration of fog at night is obviously lower than that of the East District where warehouses and docks are gathered. The main road is brightly lit, and there is no fog at all. The North District is just a gathering place for the middle class. If it is replaced by the central district of Narendam where the rich and powerful gather, what will happen? Wayne saw it with his own eyes. He was at the scene and knew it clearly. The reality proves that money can be used everywhere. The rich and powerful know how to control magicians, or the rich and powerful themselves are a family of magicians who have been passed down from generation to generation. If you leave the city, it's best to leave overnight. I'll take you to the train station. Mr. Landau has a remote manor in another place. I will make a call to arrange it. You can stay there temporarily. Veronica had a sour face and felt indescribably aggrieved. It was the first time she said goodbye to the opposite sex at the train station, and the person turned out to be Wayne. Too bad, she still fantasized about a beautiful love. It was sunset, and she said goodbye to her boyfriend whose face she couldn't see clearly. Her boyfriend waved on the train, and she chased the train until they could no longer see each other. Thinking about the scene of changing Wayne's clothes again, she felt even more upset. How could she, who was unclean, face the sacred love in the future? Because of this incident, her husband was still upset. What if the marriage broke down? Veronica, you are so kind. Wayne was deeply moved. He took Veronica's hands and held them to his chest as if he had found a treasure. He didn't take them, so he dodged. Veronica gritted her teeth and glared at the initiator who destroyed her happy marriage. Pack up, take a few changes of clothes, and hurry to the train station with me. Now, what about my owl? Put it with me first, and I'll help you raise it for a few days. Veronica didn't let Wayne take the owl on the train. It was too ostentatious and attracted the attention of other magicians. The trouble would only get more and more troublesome. Wayne nodded, and while he was packing his clothes, he contacted Aubin through the Book of Greed. He was going to leave for a few days, so he asked the dog to be quiet recently, not to mark the territory outside all night, and to take on some of the obligations of guarding the house. Somewhere in London, far away from the detective agency, there is a cemetery. The heavy fog made it impossible to see one's hand in front of one's face. The cold and gloomy phosphorescent fire floated in the air. The surrounding trees twisted their branches and danced wildly in the cold light of the phosphorescent fire. The spirit of revenge was entangled in the fog, roaring and rolling up the lifeless fog wall. A little soul light condensed in its mouth and split into 7 small light spots. These light spots are Aubin's dead children. To this day, it still can't let go and tries to use its own ability to summon the children back to its side. On the side, a sturdy undead warhorse snorted, spewing out purple flames and black smoke. It has a mouth full of sharp teeth and canines, and has a spiritual body similar to Aubin. The cold light wrapped the skeleton, wearing a saddle and reins, and a bone knight sword hung on the horse's back. This horse is Aubin's new friend. As a magical life, they get along well. The undead warhorse is imparting experience and teaching Aubin how to use soul magic better. Hearing Wayne's call, Aubin was stunned for a moment, then turned around and silently communicated with the warhorse. Yulia, my master is calling me, asking me to go back to look after the house. That's great, my master is missing. Let's stop here today. When my master comes home, I'll come to you to practice magic. What do you mean, your master is not at home? Yeah. Then why don't I just go to your house to practice magic? Okay, you said you've been waiting for your master's call here. It doesn't matter, I'm considering changing my master recently. Do you want to consider my master? Whatever, I'm not picky, as long as I can pull out this sword. Cathedral train station. Wayne left overnight, and Veronica paid for the luxury train ticket. Veronica angrily sent Wayne to the train, and turned away angrily. The girl's beautiful fantasy of love and the first farewell that she cherished so much were completely shattered tonight. Wayne not only killed her fantasy, but also borrowed 2,000 constitutional orders from her before leaving. This was not just a simple dance on the grave, but a grave digging to drag out the dead fantasy and whip the corpse repeatedly. "Damn bastard, you'd better die outside and never come back." Veronica had a pretty face, and the more she thought about it, the angrier she became. The strong resentment turned into black mist, which could be seen clearly from a distance. She didn't know that in the eyes of outsiders, her resentful look was like a lovelorn girl abandoned by her lover. A lady wearing a black dome passed by Veronica. The brim of the hat covered half of her face, and her age could not be judged, but she must be very beautiful. Passers-by could see her fair and delicate chin and the gradually raised red lips. She was wearing a black women's suit, a long skirt, a pair of black high heels, and a coat covering her figure, with only a section of her calves showing the long skirt. The slender legs are elegant and charming, and the snow-like skin glows against the black clothes. Dazzlingly white. The lady stopped to look at Veronica, and then boarded the carriage where Wayne was. "Edith, I have some things to deal with. Please change the itinerary temporarily and help me push away all the work." "I know, let them wait." Shortly after the train started, a pure black owl flapped its wings and flew out of the window, disappearing into the vast night in the blink of an eye. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 28. Wayne, carrying his suitcase, looked for his private compartment in the sleeper car. This was an extremely luxurious train, with more than 10 carriages in classical style, clean and transparent windows, and velvet curtains. The floor was covered with scarlet carpets, and the ceiling was painted with exquisite patterns as high as 5 floors of artistic elements, which were magnificent under the rendering of crystal chandeliers. This was not a train, but a moving palace, showing luxury and romance everywhere, just like the famous Oriental train. If it were other gigolos who lived off their wives, they would have lost themselves at this time, but Wayne would not. He had seen better times, and this train could not attract him at the moment. "What a broken car, there is not even a Wi-Fi, how dare you charge so much money, Veronica is furious." Wayne muttered, and saw 4 or 5 men in black coming towards him, who seemed to be bodyguards and masters. He lowered the brim of his gentleman's hat and stepped aside. The aisle of the sleeper car was not spacious. When they passed each other, one of the mustache guys bumped into Wayne's shoulder. The man walked with a step that was not to be recognized by his relatives, and he didn't even give way, as if the whole aisle was his home. What kind of quality? Wayne rolled his eyes. It was a small matter, he didn't care. After the conductor apologized repeatedly, he entered his compartment. A sleeper, a desk under the window, and the upper berth was used to place luggage. It can be said to be very spacious. Wayne enjoyed dinner in the compartment. After the steam train started, he locked the door and took off his gentleman's hat and flicked it. "Coo coo coo." The white dove jumped out and landed steadily on the desk. Wayne opened the suitcase and fed some feed. He thought his dinner would be potatoes with corn and peas, and he needed some food from the pigeon brother. Unexpectedly, his life was full of ups and downs, and his dinner was directly replaced with high-end Western food and red wine. Whether it tastes good or not, it's high-end. The train slowly left London. Wayne turned on the wall lamp and took out the magic book that Willie gave him. He wanted to try the basic magic of the carrier pigeon, but he was afraid that the white dove could not withstand the strong tossing and became his midnight snack tonight. After thinking about it, he decided to forget it and read the magic book to strengthen his memory. No words all night until dawn. March 21st. Wayne got up early in the morning with full energy. After washing up, he went to the restaurant to have breakfast. The speed of this train is not fast. It is a tourist train with beautiful scenery and delicious food as the theme. The speed is slow during the day and even slower at night. Wayne got off at the Enroad town station. Veronica had arranged for him. Someone would pick him up at the station and he would stay in the luxury manor directly. After Mr. Landau dealt with the big man, he could return to London after receiving Veronica's call. The specific date is tentative. Veronica is not sure yet. When Mr. Landau notifies her, she will notify Wayne. Wayne thought about it. His father-in-law was a banker and a big shot. It wouldn't take long. This is a sure thing. Dining room car. Wayne arrived very early. There were few customers in the restaurant and many tables were empty. He randomly picked a seat and ordered a large breakfast. If he was not late, he would arrive at noon, just before the meal. Just in case, he had to eat more breakfast. Before the breakfast was served, a lady in a black suit and long skirt walked into the restaurant. She ignored the empty tables around and walked straight to Wayne and sat opposite. She had short, neat golden hair that shone softly like silk. Pearl earrings and necklaces made her neck look more slender. She was charming and elegant, which was eye-catching. Wayne, eh? What a beautiful lady. However, there are so many empty seats. What do you mean by sitting opposite me? The beauty has sharp features, beautiful facial features, and bright complexion. She is estimated to be about 27 or 28 years old. With the strong self-confidence that cannot be ignored in her bones, she is very aggressive, which makes people subconsciously feel inferior. At the same time, her meticulous makeup and clothing, and every hair arc are just right and well organized, which shows that she is rigorous and self-disciplined, and has extremely high requirements for herself. This gentleman, do you mind sharing a table with me? Sensing Wayne's sight, the beauty smiled slightly, and the soft sunlight shone into the dining table through the car window, making this exquisite and perfect face more warm. I can do it. Wayne nodded, and added in his heart that he could mean that he didn't mind the big sister sharing the table, nothing else. Scientific research shows that men can extend their lifespan by 4-5 years by looking at beautiful women every day, and beautiful women are good for the stomach and good for the body. He has no reason to refuse. But he still said that there are so many empty seats and you have to share the table. I'm afraid you have some ulterior motive. Under the silent gaze of the beauty, Wayne finished his breakfast at the speed of light and ran away without looking back. He. The beauty laughed dumbly and raised her hand to touch her face. Although I am an honest child, or I am cautious enough, which is a plus point, but this makes me lose face. Sphy Randall. The daughter is Veronica Randall and the husband is Austin Randall. Because of the disagreement between the couple, they have been separated for a long time. She calls herself Sphy Valentine to the outside world and rarely mentions her marriage. Ms. Healy is very ambitious. She has been working in other countries since she separated from her husband. She is a typical strong woman. She was promoted because of her outstanding ability and took the initiative to apply for transfer back to London to take up an important position. Veronica is about to graduate. She wants to celebrate for her daughter in person, but in order to give her a surprise, she did not notify her in advance. At the train station, Healy saw Veronica and mistakenly thought that her whereabouts were exposed. It turned out that she was just being sentimental. Veronica didn't know that she had returned to London and appeared at the train station to see someone off. A man. At this moment, it was just like that moment. The little look of gritting her teeth was very similar to when she saw off her jerk husband at the train station. Ms. Healy was shocked. Her little white cabbage actually had a boyfriend. How long has it been? What stage has it developed to? Have you ever had that? Veronica was so angry. Was she wronged? That jerk didn't care. While cursing her jerk husband, she changed her itinerary and prepared to observe her daughter's boyfriend closely. If he was a piece of social trash who came for money and beauty, she wouldn't mind stuffing him into a cement barrel and sinking him into the river, or tying him to the train track and bisecting him. As far as I can see now, at least he wasn't here for beauty, unlike her jerk husband, who was a piece of social trash. MSHP was very satisfied with Wayne's performance, but it was not enough. Supporting free love did not mean letting go, and it was not easy to get her approval. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 29. Sightseeing Carriage. Wayne sat on the red sofa, opposite MSHP, who was following behind. She still ignored the empty seat and sat directly opposite Wayne. What a coincidence, we meet again. MSHP smiled slightly and stretched out her hand towards Wayne. Wayne. Twice, big sister, what do you want to do? It's too cold and you haven't eaten enough. Are you going to add some food to warm your mouth? HP's proactive behavior made Wayne deeply suspicious, suspecting that the other party was greedy for his billions of assets. He knew that there was a group of courtesans who used their beauty to seduce wealthy people to invest in shares, thereby achieving the purpose of kidnapping their heirs or squeezing out their original wives. After getting the money, kick the rich man away and look for the next target. Luxury trains are undoubtedly excellent hunting grounds. The high ticket prices filter out social classes and make them unaffordable for ordinary people. Although the per capita level of monopoly on the train is not said, the hunting success rate is definitely higher than in other places. He could not be soft on liars, so Wayne tried to retaliate with others in his own way, trying to defraud the other person's body and money before they defrauded him of his life and money. He had been holding out her hand for a while, and Wayne smiled awkwardly, holding the lady's fingertips in his hand as a courtesy. He Valentine. Wayne. The two of them introduced themselves. I observed his words and did not notice the surprise on Wayne's face. He raised his eyebrows and said, Mr. Wayne, you don't know me. It's my honor to meet such an elegant lady like you, but this is the first time I've met. With all due respect, are you a celebrity? Wayne was also surprised. If the other party is so confident, is he really a big shot? If so, approaching him is definitely not for seeking money. There is only one answer. He has been spotted by a wealthy woman and older sister and will receive long-term financial assistance. I am a fashion designer, somewhat famous in Paris, the capital of the Frankish Republic. The clothes I am wearing are my brand, Sci-fi Valentine. I thought Mr. Wayne would have heard of it. Sci-fi said slowly, slightly disappointed, it seems that I have overthought it. The Sci-fi Valentine brand is not well known in London. No, it's just that I don't know much about the fashion industry. The clothes you are wearing are very beautiful and will definitely be a big success in London, Wayne said with shame. She really is a rich lady. Did he obey directly, or did he refuse and obey again and again? Damn, this question is so difficult. I see. Even the name on the confirmation paper, Wayne, didn't know who he was. Sci-fi's smile became even warmer, and she inferred that her daughter and her boyfriend had just confirmed their relationship not long ago, and they hadn't gotten over it yet. What does Mr. Wayne think of my brand? Sci-fi stood up and turned around slowly, distributing charming perfume while also showing her elegant and charming curves. You are from London. I want to integrate my brand into London. Maybe you can give me some good products suggestion. Do you want advice? I'm embarrassed to expose you. Wayne rolled his eyes and looked up and down for a while based on the principle of not seeing anything in vain. After a moment, he frowned tightly. People depend on clothes, and clothes depend on people. Sci-fi and the brand he designed complement each other. The person is beautiful and the clothes are beautiful. He can't find any fault, but he always feels that something is missing somewhere. What exactly is it? Mr. Wayne. Sorry, your charm is too outstanding and I got distracted. Wayne smiled apologetically and looked at Sci-fi again, from head to toe, from shoulders to abdomen, from the back curve down to the hip line, and finally stopped at the white calf. Nice legs. He can play with these legs. Phew, he was talking about nice white legs. Wayne's eyes were so serious that Hefei was greatly disappointed. Her daughter and her both looked at each other and picked out the duplicitous pervert. No, she just turned around, and Wayne's eyes widened. With that posture, he wanted to stick to her leg and take a closer look. Fortunately, the problem is not big. Her daughter has not yet entered the grave of marriage, and now she can be saved by letting Wayne disappear. Madam, your brand is flawless and will definitely be very popular in London in the future. However, you are missing a piece of clothing, which prevents your charm from being fully displayed. Wayne spoke seriously. He tried to remain calm as much as possible, but the trembling voice still showed his inner excitement. He smelled a business opportunity, and the opportunity to make money was coming. Sci-fi was stunned for a moment and asked, "What kind of clothes are they?" "Stockings." "You are not wearing stockings, so your long legs are in vain. If you wear them with black stockings, they will definitely become a killer. Sweeping the fashion capital is no longer a dream. Ma'am, have you ever heard of stockings?" "I've heard that it's too thick and does not conform to the fashion concept of my design brand." "That means it hasn't been invented yet." Wayne made up his mind that he was referring to nylon stockings, not the woven stockings worn by the men of the court. As a fashion designer in the fashion industry, it is impossible for Sci-fi not to know about stockings. Since she answered the question incorrectly, it means that nylon stockings have not been invented yet. Yes, stockings seem to have been invented by the bald eagle and began to be sold during World War II. Counting the time, the war has not yet started, and there is no bald eagle in this world. Instead, nylon, that is, nylon, has been synthesized. It seems that in London, it has already invested in the military industry markets such as parachutes and military uniforms. Wayne's eyes lit up. When he traveled back in time, he had the dream of an inventor. It didn't matter what he invented, the key was to be able to make money while lying down. Now the dream is within reach. No, nylon has been invented, and the other party holds the patent. He may be able to pay a patent fee, but once the stockings are on the market, the huge profits visible to the naked eye are enough to make the other party ignore the contract and produce stockings personally. The little arm cannot twist the thigh, and the so-called treaty is full of loopholes. In the end of the competition, he will only make wedding clothes for the other party. It's so difficult. Wayne frowned. He is a magician now. Researching stockings is a bit unprofessional. What if it delays his studies and the beautiful girls drift away, resulting in not being able to have 3 boats at the same time? Wouldn't it be a loss for the sake of the big? Just talking about Veronica, her father-in-law runs a bank. Wayne smiled foolishly in the previous second, and frowned and looked worried in the next second, but he didn't look at Sci-fi's legs. The latter turned around twice and even pulled up the hem of her skirt. After confirming that Wayne didn't look at her, her gloomy mood improved. She thought too much. Wayne was really talking about clothes. Way. Ms. Healy, it's a pleasure chatting with you. I will get off at N Road Station. Calculating the time, I should go back to the bedroom to pack up my things. Wayne stood up and politely said goodbye to Healy. Big sister, you are very beautiful, but it's a pity that you are late. Mr. Landor runs a bank, and this father-in-law will never let go no matter what he says. Healy was confused and raised her hand to stop Wayne. So, you said I was missing a piece of clothing, what exactly is it? Boy, do you know that half-spoken words will sink into the river, especially about women's clothes? You must make it clear today. Wayne didn't want to say it, and said vaguely, I was wrong, the clothes you designed are perfect, nothing is missing. The more he said this, the more Healy was sure that she was missing a piece of clothing. While pulling and tugging, 2 men in black walked into the restaurant compartment. The cold eyes swept across the carriage. One blocked the door, and the other strode towards Wayne and Healy. The pace was rapid and murderous, which caused supernatural induction to warn Wayne. There is danger. The man in black raised his hand into his arms, took out a pistol and pointed it at him. Everyone, stay where you are, don't move, cooperate, and hand over the money. We only want money, not kill people. It turned out to be a robbery. I was scared to death. I thought it was a killer sent by a big shot. Wayne breathed a sigh of relief, but what made him speechless was that the robber didn't keep his word. He said he only wanted money. Seeing Healy's appearance and figure, he immediately had evil intentions. His eyes were wide open, and he looked like he wanted to stick to the big sister's legs to see it clearly. Bah, cheap. Watch the door, I'm going to talk to this lady. The robber turned around and yelled at his companion, looking at Xi-Fei's towering chest with lustful eyes. He was a straightforward person who didn't understand the importance of the first note. He just reached out to grab it when he saw it. You kid is too bold. I didn't even dare to touch it. What's your reason? Just because you have a gun in your hand? Wayne snorted coldly and raised his hand to stop him. A fragrant breeze flashed. Xi-Fei grabbed the robber's wrist, and twisted the robber's hand into a twist with a reverse wrist. The robber felt pain and subconsciously turned his body. When he turned his back to Xi-Fei, he was kicked hard in the knee pit and fell to the ground with a scream. Xi-Fei stepped forward, released the robber's wrist, pressed the back of his head with 5 fingers, and slammed it hard on the floor of the carriage. With a bang, the robber was motionless. Everything happened in a flash, so fast that Wayne couldn't keep up with it. In terms of size, Xi-Fei and the robber were not in the same weight class, but she easily killed him in 1 second. Wayne was stunned. Oh my God, what if she uses force on me later? Where's Veronica? Come and protect me. Xi-Fei picked up the pistol on the ground, pointed it at the unconscious robber's head, and asked the other robber to hand over the gun. Unfortunately, this group of people are professional. At the moment when Xi-Fei knocked down the robber number 1, the robber number 2 who was guarding the door decisively hijacked the passenger next to him. A child. He pointed the gun at the child's temple and used the child's body to block his torso. The child didn't cry, but was directly shocked. The child's mother didn't say anything and fainted directly. Put down the gun, or I'll kill this kid. Hai frowned, her expression suddenly became serious. Just as she was weighing the pros and cons of whether to reveal her identity, a hard object pressed against the back of her head. It was Wayne. Wayne poked the gun in his hand and sneered, didn't expect it? I'm also a robber. Let my brother go, or I'll shoot you to death. Hive was stunned. Her daughter fell in love with the robber? The second robber on the opposite side was also stunned. There was someone else in the car? Is this true? What if he is not an undercover? Let's see first. X2. I'm talking to you, are you deaf? Keep the muzzle away from my boss. Wayne came behind Xi-Fei, raised his arm to hook her neck, sniffed her hair, and said impulsively, Beauty, what are you hesitating about? You are so beautiful and you must be kind-hearted. You don't want to see that innocent child die because of you, right? Xi-Fei's eyelids jumped. Wayne was too close to her, seriously violating the social safety distance. I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. I was wrong. She took a deep breath, slowly lowered her arm, and dropped the muzzle of the gun to the ground. Ha ha ha, brother, well done, thank you for this time. Robber number 2 threw away the hostage and strode towards He. He was very sure that Wayne was one of his own. His lecherous face was exactly the same as his fallen elder brother. In terms of lines, his elder brother was slightly inferior and not as professional as Wayne. 3 steps later, robber number 2 stood there in a daze. 2 pistols pointed at him at the same time. Put down the gun X2. You are not my brother? That's not right. Your expression and your lines are clearly not acting. How can you become a good person? Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 30. Faced with the two black muzzles, the second robber put down his gun and lay on the ground with his hands on his head. It was impossible to risk his life. 20 or so followers of the goddess of death were scared when Veronica pointed a gun at them, not to mention the train robbers who were only seeking money. It's just a jail term. You can go back to your old job after you are released from prison. Why risk your life? You only have one life. Wayne stepped forward quickly, pressed the robber's head on the ground, and banged it several times. The second robber was stunned. Brother, what are you doing? I also have human rights. Where is the international humanitarian spirit? Healy couldn't help laughing, and stepped forward to help Wayne out. He stepped on the head of the second robber and saved him from further abuse with a click. She could see that Wayne wanted to knock the robber unconscious, but he was inexperienced and failed several times. Why don't you use a gun? Just hit the back of the head a few times. Fake gun. Wayne shook the toy gun in his hand. The wooden model was painted black, and the muzzle was covered with a layer of iron sheet to ensure that the unlucky person who was hit by the muzzle could feel the coldness of death. Sci-fi was stunned for a moment. So, you couldn't shoot at the beginning? Well, it's just acting. If I can make the robbers release the hostages, my mission will be completed. Wayne waved his hand low-key. His IQ was all set off by the robbers. The key figure was Sci-fi, and he didn't do much. He had two real guns, but he couldn't carry them with him. The toy gun was made by himself a few days ago and was used for sneak attacks from behind. It was useless from the front. Unless it was at night. Wayne, I admire you more and more. Sci-fi admired sincerely. When Wayne pointed a gun at her, she really thought her daughter was blind. Through Wayne's deliberate mention of moving the gun away and innocent hostages, she realized Wayne's plan and followed suit. In a very short time, he came up with the most appropriate countermeasures, ensured the safety of the hostages, and successfully subdued the robbers, which was enough to prove Wayne's meticulous mind and excellent action. It's just that his acting is too good. It doesn't look like acting at all, well, like her jerk husband. Healy also understood why her daughter would like Wayne. Gold will shine wherever it is, and capable boys will always attract the opposite sex. If you bloom, butterflies will come. Of course, it is not ruled out that her excellent daughter attracted Wayne, and the two of them fell in love quickly. Healy's appreciation is from the perspective of the elders looking at the younger generation, but Wayne didn't know that the more he listened, the more ambiguous it was. He thought that the rich woman had expressed her affection, and the next step was to take out the support contract. God has mercy on him, he couldn't resist the temptation and was easily seduced. What if he really signed the contract and became a cheating scumbag? How would he explain to Santiao Chuan? Wayne was confused. Healy once again misunderstood something and said with a smile, "Don't worry, I will deal with the remaining robbers. When I come back, you have to make it clear which piece of clothing I am missing." After that, Healy pushed open the door of the restaurant with a pistol, and her steps were elegant, which made Wayne couldn't help but suspect that she was a spy. Frank's spy sent to the Kingdom of Windsor, a well-known fashion designer, was able to quickly integrate into the upper circle, get to know the powerful class, and send a steady stream of intelligence back to Frank. No, she is too high profile. It can't be a foreign spy. Wayne muttered. Rather than saying that she is Frank's spy, it is better to say that she is a spy sent by Windsor to Frank. Now she has retired and returned to her hometown to find an honest person to take over. The honest person turned out to be me. At 11 noon, the luxury train stopped at En Road station. The station police dragged away 5 black-clad robbers, including the mustache man who deliberately bumped into Wayne on the train. Wayne and Healy were invited into the station office. They knocked down 5 armed robbers and saved a whole car of rich people. Because of their outrageous skills, they had to face police questioning. Office. Healy crossed her legs, put her hands on her knees, and sat upright and elegantly. She always maintained etiquette, and self-discipline became a habit. Whether in appearance or temperament, she ranked first among the women Wayne had seen. Veronica's etiquette was not bad, but she was still a little childish, especially when Willie played pranks. The eldest lady couldn't help but fight with her. The eldest lady was responsible for fighting, and Willie was responsible for a group, and the division of labor was very clear. Wayne, what do you do? I own a detective agency. Sounds like a successful person. Not bad, an assistant, a clerk, a cat and a dog. In the office, the police officers were still dealing with the robbers. Wayne was bored and chatted with Healy. He could feel that Healy was very curious about him and kept asking about his personal life. It's over, he was really targeted by a rich woman. Do you have a girlfriend? Healy showed her true colors and asked the question she cared about the most. Wayne wanted to say that he was a single kneeling tribe member and needed a big sister to support him, even for free. When the words came to his lips, he followed his heart and said, I have a girlfriend. She likes me very much, and I love her too. We swear not to betray each other. Speaking of this, Wayne's heart was bleeding. He never expected that he would reject such a mature and elegant lady. And money. Healy nodded with satisfaction and sighed, what an enviable love. Healy seemed to have thought of something, and her bastard husband was speechless for a long time. Wayne knew that if he asked at this time, the other person would definitely use the topic to talk about his scarred love history, and then burst into tears, looking for a silencer and taking refuge on the other person's generous shoulders. Oh, don't try to trick me, I just won't ask. Wayne didn't answer, and he didn't have the desire to talk. After a while, she got straight to the point, what is missing from my brand? Wayne struggled for a moment and said slowly, Madam, this dress has not been invented yet. It is my whimsical idea. When I invent it, I will tell you as soon as possible. Don't ask anything else. Yeah, I'm afraid you'll take away my creativity. Is it very profitable? Well, I will rely on it to support my wife for the rest of my life. Sounds good, I wish you happiness. Sci-fi smiled meaningfully. She had examined the child and found that the child was not bad. He had brains and was cautious and capable of action. However, he was a little naive and needed the guidance of his elders. Moreover, Wayne does not seem to understand the truth about the world. Ordinary people and magicians are people from two different worlds. It is difficult to get together without a common language. Even if they successfully hold hands, there will be emotional discord for one reason or another, leading to the breakdown of the marriage. 11 Faye thought about herself and her asshole husband, and decided to help Wayne and let him learn magic to prevent her tragedy from happening again to Veronica. This time she returned to London to assume the important position of district high priest. She lacked an administrative assistant and it was time to recruit a disciple. It doesn't matter whether you have talent or not, the key is trustworthiness. After a while, 2 police officers walked in. They first expressed their apologies and gratitude, looked at the ID cards of Wayne and Heapy, and after a brief inquiry, they awkwardly said that the robbery involved too many rich people, and London decided to set up a special case group. In other words, Heapy and Wayne had to change their schedule and take the next train back to London. Can you please wait a while? I have very important things to deal with. Wayne frowned and said. The 2 police officers shrugged and expressed regret that they could not help. Damn it, do good people deserve to be easy to talk to? Wayne said regretfully that if so, he would never be a good person again. Wayne, remember you owe me a favor. I will make it up to you when I have the opportunity in the future. He borrowed the office phone, and 5 minutes later, the station sergeant came in person to apologize for wasting the valuable time of the two distinguished guests because of the police officer's negligence. "It's okay now, Wayne, and he can leave anytime." Wayne looked at Ziffy in surprise. This was not money, but power. The rich woman was far more powerful than he imagined, and her identity was by no means as simple as a spy. Damn it, why did I refuse just now? Outside the station office, servants and housekeepers who had been waiting for a long time gathered around. They followed the orders of the rich people and made a special trip to express their gratitude. It doesn't matter whether it's money or not, life is what matters, and God knows what the crazy robbers will do. Furthermore, many wealthy people take their wives with them when they travel. Instead, they take secretaries or lovers with them. Most of them take other people's wives with them. If things get serious, the second wave of social deaths will not be something they can bear. To express their gratitude, the servants and butlers gave the business cards of their masters. This group of people gathered in the central district of Nellendam, and they were very well-connected people. Wayne took the business card and touched his pocket. It was too bad. He didn't have a business card, so he couldn't take the opportunity to promote his detective business. He copied the phone number by hand and wrote it on the back of the business card in exchange. She could see Wayne's dilemma and smiled and said that Wayne was a capable detective. If the rich encountered trouble in the future, they could contact Wayne through this phone number. Kindness. Wayne. Oops, the rich woman is determined to be evil and starts to play social circle bondage. After the two left, the sergeant chatted with the two police officers, confirmed the identities of He and Wayne, and called London to report. Not long after, a call came out of the London Metropolitan Police Headquarters. "Mr. Landau, do you know He Landau? She did injure people, but she acted bravely. She injured 5 armed criminals who robbed the train, but she was just a little too heavy-handed. Yes, she is in Windsor. The train left London last night. According to the station police officer in Lord Town, she was accompanied by a man, and the two of them subdued the robber together. His name is Wayne. Yes, his name is Wayne, I'm pretty sure it's Wayne." "Hey, how do you know Mr. Wayne is a detective?" According to the conductor, they have a very close relationship. They had breakfast together early in the morning and even went to the sightseeing car together. Yes, they left the station together. Ms. He did not want to return to London, so she left with Wayne and got into the same car. "No trouble, it's my honor to serve you. This is what I should do. If you insist, I will go to the finance room to get the money." "Okay, thank you for your generosity."